Welcome to Words from Your Mama. I'm your host, Simone. If you're a mom or maybe considering being a mom and you want some encouragement along the way, then this podcast is for you. On this podcast, I interview moms from every walk of life as they share their experiences. So thanks for listening.
Because it doesn't matter, what your economic status is, what your skin color is, where you live. All that stuff is just superficial.
Mm-hmm.
What matters is we're all a soul that Jesus loves. So we need to love each other and encourage one another. That's been a huge thing too, is I love to encourage people.
On this episode, we are going to be interviewing Mama Pleger. She's going to share all the joys of having two boys that are married and out of the house now. Please open your ears and open your hearts to receive Mama Pleger. So you talked about how wonderful your husband is. So let's bring him into the questions here and have you share some important principles both you and Brother Bruce thought were important to teach your children.
Okay. Of course, honesty and integrity, as we talked about before, are super important. And again, their dedication to Jesus and the church are a part of that. We were always a big, if you say you're going to do it kind of person.
Yes.
When they were in sports, we told them, if you're going to sign up for this, you're going to do the whole season. If you don't want to do it next year, that's fine. But if you're going to join this team and this team is going to count on your participation, you're going to be there every time you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was tough a couple times because they got into stuff they decided they didn't like. But we finished it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Trying to think of anything else. That's pretty much it. Just love Jesus, treat others like you want to be treated was a huge one too.
Yeah.
I was never we tease a lot, but if it's hurting somebody's feelings and they're getting worked up about it, it stops.
Yeah.
If you hit that nerve, you need to respect other people.
I think
those are the major things.
Yeah, those teachings for sure set y'all's family apart from anyone else. Like your family itself is completely different than any other family in the church because you teach, like, your word is your bond. Like, you've made a commitment, you're going to stick to it. Like, I can always count on the Plegers anytime I ask for them, which isn't too often, but, like, anytime I do need y'all, like, I know for sure y'all are going to be there because that's just how you are. Like, it's fantastic. Yeah. And y'all are all super hardworking, too. It's not 25% effort. It's 100% effort into whatever you put your hands to.
And, that comes with, wanting to serve the Lord with all your heart. Anything that we do as unto Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that effort comes from, is because we want to please the Lord with what we're doing.
Yeah. So good. So these next three questions may have the same answer, but we're still going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
What were your goals as parents?
To raise self-sufficient, productive members of society.
Accomplished.
We wanted the kids to be able to, to hold down jobs, to be able to pay their bills, again, serve the Lord, with everything that they have. And we wanted them to, of course, enjoy their life too, because that's a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's times when it feels like life isn't really enjoyable, that it's all work, but most of the time we're all having a good time and we find fun wherever we can. So
nice. Love it. So, looking back to raising your boys, what was one thing both you and your husband were glad you did with your children?
Oh, well, going to church is number one because that has been such an important part of shaping who they grew up to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we had chores that they had to do when they were at home, and that was important too. And Matthew had chores even after he went to the Air Force and came back to the house. Um, you're going to live here. We didn't charge you rent, but you're going to wash the dishes,
Yeah.
and it made them responsible for stuff at what others probably would consider a young age, but it helped prepare them for life,
Mm-hmm.
for going out on their own. So um, I think it was important and it was needful.
I don't think you can start giving responsibility too young. Like, I hear that, and then people say that all the time, but it's just like you're only giving them more experience. Like, you're not hurting them by giving them too much responsibility, or not too much, but like too responsibility too early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't have a ton of things they had to do. Like, Brad was in charge of washing the dishes. People used to ask me if I had a dishwasher. I'd say, yeah, it's about 25 years old. His name's Brad. Um, and Matthew was in charge of cleaning the bathrooms because that was a little bit heavier duty.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that, less often than the dishes had to be washed. But they were in charge of their own laundry from
Nice.
like 12. And and another thing we did with them was talk to them about credit, about having credit cards and paying their bills and stuff like that. Um, I remember having several conversations with them because at first they didn't understand at all.
It's so confusing.
You know, yeah. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't think they think we were super. They might have thought we were super harsh when they were little, but I think now they appreciate
Mm-hmm.
how they were raised and they understand why we did some of the things that we did. Um, their friends were always welcome over here, and um, that was an important thing too. I think for them to know that their friends were welcome here, um, and for some of their friends, I think it was super important too because they didn't have
Right.
a family like ours,
Right.
and kids need to see that it does happen. Those families are out there
Mm-hmm.
and it can be done. So,
I think another principle that you may not have considered a principle, but y'all totally embodied Bishop's principle of loving people to Jesus. Like, y'all loved anyone and everyone. It didn't care. It didn't matter if they were like off the streets from Midway or if they'd been in the church for 25 years. Like, y'all loved everyone and treated them all the same. And y'all still do that. So I think,
yeah,
yeah, y'all killed it.
that's important to us because it doesn't matter, you know, um, what your economic status is, what your skin color is, where you live. All that stuff is just superficial.
Mm-hmm.
What matters is we're all a soul that Jesus loves. So we need to love each other
Yeah.
and encourage one another. That's been a huge thing too. I love to encourage people, um, and I pray that Jesus will give me the right words to encourage people because so many people don't get it from any place else.
Yeah.
You know,
So true.
um,
And you
yeah.
do a fantastic job at encouraging. So good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, we're still talking about you and Bruce a little bit in your parenting.
Okay.
How do you balance your commitments outside of the home with family commitments?
Well, we try not to have them scheduled over one another.
Mm-hmm.
Family is top priority, and if something does conflict, on our schedule. I think family's normally going to take precedence over it,
For sure.
but um, we just try to keep on top of what we're saying we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when there was so much commitment to stuff at church that Bruce was like, you got to back off some stuff. And he said, if anybody asks you to do something, you tell them and come talk to me. Because I was having a hard time saying no.
Right. Because you've got such a
And
servant's heart. Like, it's difficult.
yeah. Um, so that was kind of like an eye opener for me, that I needed to be more aware of what I was committing myself to. And even now, with me taking care of Kaylin and still working my full time job, I
Mm-hmm.
know Bruce is concerned because he keeps asking me, how are you? Is this working? How long do you think you're going to be able to keep this up? You know, those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And so far, it's great. I've got this crazy schedule. I know it's a crazy schedule, but it's working. So, but I will not be able to commit to anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. That schedule is wicked. I don't know that I could do it, but it's the love of a grandmother.
Yeah, it's so worth it. He's so awesome. I love
Aw. So you kind of already touched on this a little bit before, but you were talking about your kids being in sports and how they had to commit to one specific thing.
him.
What guidance could you give to other moms thinking through sports, academics, and other activities?
Those things are important. I think they're very important because you learn so much doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you don't want to overcommit and overschedule. So if your child wants to play a sport, awesome, do it, but be dedicated to it for that season. And again, if they find out it's not for them, don't force it on them again. Um, I think people can go to the other extreme also when, if their child is good at sports,
Yep.
that becomes their only focus, and that's not good either. You still need to have other interests. You still need to make church a priority. They still need to be focused also on their schooling, whether they're in public school or homeschooled or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's still important and it needs to be done. Um, so if you're going to make that commitment, like your child's going to be on a travel team or something, if you make that commitment for the child to be on that team, you still got to be committed to the other areas of that child's life too. Um,
So good.
and don't, there are very talented athletes out there that make tons of money, but don't put that pressure on your kid
Yes.
that they've got to
Yes.
be the best so that they can buy you a house or whatever. That's not fair.
No. That's how you get your kids stressed out.
Yeah. I mean, let them learn the sport, let them learn the teamwork, let them get the physical exercise. All that's great, but let them have fun too.
Yeah.
It's not all about winning.
Right. Right.
So
So good.
that's
So good. I never wanted to do sports really until like I got in high school, but when I was in elementary school, I did jazzercise after class. And I just
hmm
knew I was going to grow up to be a jazzercise coach. Like that was my goal. I was like, I'm great at dancing. I can exercise. I'm going to be a jazzercise coach. And my mom didn't
hmm
discourage me. She was like, go for it, girl. You can be a
uh-huh.
jazzercise coach.
Yeah. I did jazzercise with my mom,
So
I guess in
fun.
like my early 20s. It was the best shape of my life.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it was great exercise. I loved it.
Uh,
Can't find them anymore. Girl, you need to teach some classes.
no, no, I'm good. That was just the old me.
We could do it at church. You could be part of Sister Valerie's fitness program.
Oh gosh.
Jazzercise with Simone. No?
No, nope, not feeling it. I feel like jazzercise with Donna would see like that would just be great.
No, I'm not teaching jazzercise. It was a great workout though.
Yes, it was. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So we're really coming to like the final few questions. There's only two left, unless you'd like to
Okay.
ask more questions.
You keep on going, girl. I'm here as long as you need me.
Great. Okay, so I think we can do four more.
Okay.
Awesome. So, I don't want you to tell your love story, although it'd be fantastic to hear all over again, but this is not a love story podcast. This is a mom podcast. How do you prioritize your marriage with your family, with raising a family? I guess this kind of may not completely apply because your kids are all grown and moved out of the house now.
Well, it was a priority when they were home,
Mm-hmm.
and it was something that we deliberately um, made a priority. Bruce and I, excuse me, people will comment at church how much they enjoy watching us as a couple.
Yes.
Where, we touch each other, we laugh with each other, we make googly eyes. Um, but we're even worse at home.
I can't
The kids are
imagine.
always like, eh. But it was important to us to demonstrate what a healthy marriage looks like to our kids.
Yeah.
Because how are they going to have a healthy marriage if they've never seen it?
Right.
And we would go out, we'd get a babysitter, we went out to dinner, we would go on vacation without them to show them that it's important. Mom and dad need time.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to be in a happy home if mom and dad aren't happy? If we aren't able to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And we also, especially when the kids were really little, we always made it an effort to provide a united front when the kids needed something. If there was like they wanted to go over to so and so's house,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't just mom or dad, it was mom and dad who had to approve it. And if we disagreed, we talked about it away from the kids and then came to a decision. But they always got agreement. The answer that they got from us, we both agreed on.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any confusion. Does that make sense?
Yes, no, that's so good because there's
Okay.
often you get the conflict between the mom and the dad, and go ask your mom or go ask your dad, and then she said this, no, he said that. Well, I superseded your mom, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and then you have this tension that completely unnecessary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
displaying.
didn't want them to go through that. So.
Yeah, I think y'all modeling for them what a healthy relationship is did way more than y'all ever thought that it would. Like, I can say all day that I'm going to be displaying, I don't know, a millionaire status, but until I actually do have $1 million in my account, I'm just talking. And y'all actually
Right.
displaying it for them is just, it's great. It's fantastic.
It was really important for us that they see what a healthy marriage looks like and what two people who love each other looks like. Um, and my mom and dad have been married for over 50 years. His
Ooh.
parents had been married for over 50 years. So it was good that we came from strong marriages
Oh, yeah.
also. That helped a lot. But our house is very different from the way that I was raised and the way he was raised.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any specific books or Bible verses that helped you grow as you raised your family?
Well, of course, the whole entire Bible is great for raising families.
Right.
But I can't say that there was one other than raise your children in the fear of the Lord that they, how does it go now? My mind is totally blank. The one about train up a child.
Yes. Train up a child in the way they
And
should go, and they will not depart.
thank you. Yes. And we believed that, and we took it seriously. And we took raising our kids seriously,
Mm-hmm.
raising them up in the church and in believing in Jesus and serving the Lord. And I think it's proven very fruitful.
Mm-hmm. Because not only have y'all raised your children in the way of the Lord, but y'all exampled for I would say millions, because literally your influence in Sunday school didn't just teach the kids that are in church now. Like, y'all taught tons, like buses of kids on Midway and buses of kids on Carver and buses of kids even now. Like, there's so many lives y'all impacted that you've only really seen like 2% of what y'all actually have
Right.
done. It's incredible.
Well, we've only done what the Lord gave us the wisdom to do. Um, and if there's been any good influence on anyone's life, it's all praise to the Lord. Um, I'm happy to be a part of all you guys' lives. We love you guys. You know that. Um, and anything we can do to help out, we're here for you.
Literally anything. This story does not relate. It's not on the same topic, but it's just one story that always just sticks in my mind. And I've told you this before, but you taught one time in Sunday school, and it wasn't even a lesson. You were literally, someone had said a bad word, and you were like, no, they said that they thought a bad word, and you said thinking the bad word is just as bad as saying the bad word. And I'm 30 years old, a full grown adult, and still to this day, someone cuts me off in traffic or someone calls me outside of my name, and I just want to say it back, and I'm like, oh, and I think something, and I'm like, oh no, thinking the bad word's just as bad as saying the bad word. So like that little thing, it wasn't even a lesson at all. It was just something you'd said in the moment, and it still sticks to me this day.
Well, I'm glad it helps. You can't always control your thoughts, but if
Right.
it helps you to remember that and not let it become more than a thought, that's awesome.
Right. Right. Exactly. And then it challenges me to get
Yep.
the word in me, and then I'm like, okay, submit every thought to the authority of God. I got it.
Amen.
So let's see, what one do I want to ask? This is exciting. Okay, so, what is your go-to recipe? What's one thing you can whip up in the kitchen, and it doesn't have to be a recipe, just one thing you can go in the kitchen and whip up, and it's a hit every time.
It sounds gross, but it's actually something that Bruce's mom made for them as kids, and he taught me how to make it after we got married, and it's called slop.
Slop.
Slop. And it's simply ground beef and an onion and cream of mushroom or cream of potato soup. And the soup becomes like a gravy, and you serve it over rice. And it's good. People have always enjoyed it. My kids have made it for their wives now, and they like it too.
Oh, that sounds amazing, and it like also sounds like it'd be great for leftovers.
Yes, it is very good for leftovers. Yep.
I like it. I like the name too. It's kind of catchy. Slop.
That's what it looks like. It looks like slop on the plate, but it is tasty.
And it sounds quick and easy, so it's perfect.
It is super. Yes. Yep.
Who is your role model?
Mm. I read that question on the list and I was like, who am I going to say for that? But I have to say my mom, because she is such a giving person. She will do anything for anybody. Just loves everyone, has an awesome attitude, an awesome outlook on life. And she is dedicated to my dad
Oh.
100%. When she was so sick, that was one of her biggest worries, was who's going to take care of my dad, because she couldn't do it.
Oh.
And that was one of the reasons why I had to move in temporarily, to help her and to take care of him so she wouldn't worry about him and
Yeah.
she could focus on herself for once. So, yeah, she's been a huge role model. She's done so much for me and for my boys. And she loves Bruce like he was her own.
Oh.
When we first got married, and I remember one time we had a fight, and I called her, and she said, "What'd you do now?" It couldn't be anything Bruce did, right?
It's
So
too
yeah,
funny.
she's a great lady.
I love
She's a
that.
great lady.
I love that she like made you and you're awesome and fantastic, but also displayed strong marriage for you. So now that you can look back
Hmm.
on your kids and teach them, it's great. I love that. That's a great
Yeah.
heritage to come from.
Hmm. It's true.
So I'm gonna ask an off the wall question, and you don't have to answer it. Well, it's you can pick one or the other. The first one you can pick
Okay.
from is so it's what is the most trouble you've ever gotten into, or growing up, what did you want to be?
I'm going to tell on myself
Okay.
and tell you the most trouble I ever got in. I guess I had to be 16 because I was driving,
Okay.
and my parents wouldn't let me go out. So what I would do, nobody take note of this. I would spend the night at a friend's house who was allowed to go out, and we would go out from my friend's house. And
Sweet.
this one time, I was spending the night at my friend Maria's house, and we ended up going to a party down in 7th District. I don't know if you're familiar with 7th
Uh
District,
huh.
but it's deep down there. And we ended up spending the night actually at my friend Samantha's house, who we called Sam, and it
Oh.
snowed. So the next morning when I got up, I couldn't drive my car,
Oh
and I had to call my mom and dad, and they were like, "It's no problem. We'll come get you at Maria's house."
no.
Well, then
Oh
I had to
no.
say, "I'm not at Maria's house. I'm at Sam's house," which was a big no-no because that's not where I told him I was going to be. So my dad got my uncle, and they came and got me. And when we got home, he didn't say a word to me.
Oh
He
gosh.
was convinced that Sam was a boy,
Oh no.
and he would not listen to me about that. But anyway, um, when we got home, he left my car running in the driveway until it cut off because it ran out of gas,
Oh
and I
man.
was not allowed to drive anymore. Yeah, that was a bad time.
Dang.
Time.
Dang. That's intense. That is a very intense story. Wow. Wow. I wouldn't imagine you
So,
to be rebellious at all.
oh, that was before Jesus, girl. There is a whole different Sister Donna before Jesus.
I couldn't imagine.
Mm.
So that one is really the last question. But before we
Okay.
leave, did you have any last words of wisdom or pieces of advice that you would like to share with our mamas today?
Enjoy being a mom. They're going to grow up so fast. Just love them, encourage them, help them, and raise them in church. Um, if if Jesus isn't a part of your life, make him a part of your life
Yeah.
because it's the best thing that you're going to do for your family. And do love your kids. Be patient with them. There's stuff they don't know, and if you don't explain it to them, somebody in the world will, and it's not going to be good.
Right.
So love your kids. Be patient. Talk to them, and do stuff with them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You took all that time to birth them and like have them and just enjoy life with them. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can, it's pretty amazing if you pay attention to the how they see the world and the things that they come up with and laugh with them. We've had so many laughs over the years, and we still laugh about stuff
All the
that
time.
happened. You know, yeah, it's crazy. So,
Well, that's all we have for this episode. Be sure to tune in next week for more words from your mama.